getting back into it with the last Talon. Or, not the last Talon, the LAS-7 Dagger. Right, we already did the Talon. Alright, so we got most of this back part done. Um, Looking at this, I feel like the site won't have enough room to slide off here, which is weird. We might have to customize that a little bit, but let's go ahead and get some of this going. Let's see. That has kind of this rounded shape, I think, that we already put on there. So we can borrow that. We have this hole here. Alright. So, so in that case, what I'm going to do is we can take, I think, this and you know what, let's put the cursor right in the middle of that. So I'm going to hit F3, cursor to active, put it up there. That way we have this kind of central location to move towards. I think, let's get the X-ray move, and let's go ahead and take off auto merge. And it actually might need to be a little above that, so I'm going to go over here, 3D cursor, location, and find Z, and then we'll go up just the tiniest bit, and that is way too much. Control Z, doesn't work for that, unfortunate. Okay, getting back to where we were, let's see, where did you go? There you are. Alright, let's manually enter maybe 25, 125. Let's try 130. Maybe 128. I think that'll do us. So I'm going to have these guys selected, and I'm going to hit well, actually, I think we can extrude. Let's put our pivot point to 3D cursor, and then it's actually going to go backwards, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll extrude, hit S, right click after extruding so we can get these, and then right click to deselect, and then we'll hit S to scale downward a little bit, and let's put that around maybe here. And yeah, it did go backwards. So with snap on, we'll hit G, X, and we'll get it to snap on that. So we push that forward a little bit. And let's go ahead and put that down with GZ. Snapped it over there. Let's turn off X-ray mode. So I think we got that going. And then from there, we could extrude further to create this bit here. So I'm going to grab those and then with X, and we'll push that over here. Then it seems like it pops out again. So maybe we can get these. And then we'll Shift D to duplicate. And then we'll get this over here, snap it over there. And then let's collect these edges along with this, and we'll go ahead and right click, bridge those edge loops. So we got that going. And I guess we can put some faces over here. Let's see how that's looking. I'm in X-ray mode. It actually looks like it comes downward quite a bit. So let's go from say this one goes down here like so, and then we'll subdivide here. Then we'll hit G, X, snap that over here, and then G, Z, snap that here. So we got that going. And I guess we can attach this now. So we can hit E to extrude, and then right click, G, Y, snap it over here, and then we'll seal up this face with F. There, so we got that. And I think we could do similarly over here, extruding, right click, GY, then we'll get these two, F, and I think this is all one piece, so we can extend this over here, I think. So let's take that edge, E to extrude, right click, G, X, and then snap it over here. And then we can seal, I guess, this entire face off. So now we have that. And let's see. What do I want to do with this rail? Because I want to be able to remove the side. I know right now we can't customize the sight system for sidearms, but maybe in the future. And to that degree, I still kind of want to be able to remove it. Gives it a little more interest too. Let me get a better look at this bit here. There's the screw. Looks like there's a switch or something on this side. That might be interesting to play with. Looks like the rail goes right into that piece. But there's clearly a gap right here. Hmm. So what do I want to do with that? I think the first thing I'll do is extrude this entire length here. Let's hide this image for now. Go into X-ray mode with that length. And I'm going to pull it over here. And let's say it's, I'm going to hit G, Y, and snap it over here. I want it to be a bit smoother. Maybe that's not enough for the rail. Maybe it's more like over here. Because then we can go up and then outward like this, and then up again, and then over to make the rail. So I'm going to snap that over there so we get this sort of shape. And then the sight can go onto that rail. And then we could put a magnet over here to attach to the sight. So I'm not sure if I'm happy with the scale, but the shape should do us fine. And, you know, since there's this gap over here, let's go ahead and put that in. So I'm going to take all those edges, right-click, subdivide, then I'm going to I'm just going to G, X, drag that back. X-ray. Maybe around here-ish. Should be fine. And then let's just go ahead and get rid of these vertices. Boop. And then could extrude and just make it flat, or we can make it rounded. Flat will probably be fine. And then we can click these in. Oop. I don't want that one. Make a face right over there. So we got that. And unless we want to do anything here, I think we could just put a face there. So I don't know what this is about. It looks pretty flat. It has some interesting designs there, but it doesn't look like anything sticks out. It might just be because this image is at a slight angle. We do have that screw, but I think that's looking okay for right now. And then we got our rail system now, so got up to here. We could probably close this off. And I guess that just kind of stops off right there. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Kind of tricky to see. But there does seem to be an extension, then it goes back down, then it extends out again. So let's give that a shot. So let's get back over here. And then how do we do this back here? I'm going to take this vertice, I'm going to Shift D, duplicating it, GX, pull it over here, and that's just that one. And then we just went straight ahead over here. So let's do that again. And then we can seal this up. F. Still doesn't really help us with this bit here, because back there it went upwards, but this one I guess is gonna go a little differently. So I'm gonna drag this down a bit, drag this one down too, to make a little smoother transition. And then I think we're just gonna seal this off with a face. Which might look a little awkward, but I think it'll do. Can always make changes later. And let's make sure we're not selecting any of these. We got this edge length here, and then we'll extrude, right click GX, just like that, and then we'll take this inside a bit here, make sure we didn't click on anything else, and I'll Shift D to duplicate, GX again, push that a little forward, and then we will bridge these edge loops, right click, bridge edge loops, no. It's coming off a little awkward. Oh yeah, this is a triangle. Okay, let's try that again. Don't need this one. And then right click, bridge edge loops, there we go. Nice and clean. And then we'll take these again. Is this an extension or is that just a gap? It looks like an extension. So we will treat it as such, even though it's kind of invisible here. Seems like it goes down all the way down here. Instead. So we might have to alter our design just a bit so it stops around here-ish. So maybe more like this. And then we just get rid of all this stuff up here. And right click delete. And just to even things up, I'm going to snap that up here. Oh, that's already a face. Okay, and is that flat? It, it seems to have some kind of cavity over there. It's very difficult to see. Hmm. Well, it seems fairly flat at least. So I think we can just put a face here. Let's go to the center with this one with extrude G, Y, then E, right click G, Y, and then we'll put a face right here. Okay, that's not bad. I don't think that looks bad. And let's go ahead and seal this up as well. And then we have like one more bit to do here. So I'm going to Shift D to duplicate, GX, drag that over here. And then we have a little bit more to go for this next part. And then I'm going to bridge these edge loops. Bridge edge loops. Oh yeah, triangle, right? Bridge edge loops. And then we'll manually put that one in. And I guess we can flatten this out as well. So let's drag this out one more time with E, and then snap it over here. Have that. And there does seem to be something over here, so I'm going to make a sort of rounded square, because I think that's what we're working with. Let's change our pivot point to median, and then hit S to scale these guys outward. Say 2 millimeters, and then we'll hit E to extrude, and then I'll stretch this out for here. See what this is. 12.9. So let's go to 10.9 just to put 2 millimeters on that. 10.9. Here, let's get rid of this edge. And then it seems like there's that rounded square. Actually, let's get this back. And then I'll hit F3, cursor to active, and then we'll use the cursor, 3D cursor as our pivot point. That way, when we Shift D to duplicate that, we can hit scale and we can go downward using the 3D cursor here. Then we'll shrink this a little bit, and then we'll bevel these edges to make that rounded shape that I think is present on that piece. Boom. So I think this is kind of inlaid a little bit. Let's get rid of this edge for a moment. And I feel like this goes downward a bit. So this is like this. And then let's Shift D on this, bring it up, and we'll just kind of make a rim over here. We'll just put a face there. Whoop. I'm going to hit A and then Shift N to recalculate our normals. And what I want is to just put faces here, like so. And then we can make a sunken area like this. And then we'll get in edges mode, right click, bridge those edge loops. And then down here, we'll hit F to put a face. That way we have that kind of shape. I think that's what we were going for. As if we look, where was the one with the good angle on that? Was it this one? kind of. So it looks kind of like that. Maybe. Kind of close. And this top area does seem very flat, so I think we're doing a pretty decent job with it. And maybe now we can do this part, where there's just this opening here. So let's see how these lines are lining up. Not perfectly. What was this for? That was the inside. Was this temporary? Is that X-ray mode? What are you attached to? Yeah, I think this was a temporary line. Doesn't seem like it goes anywhere. So we can get rid of this, I think. So connected here. And this is inside of the item, so I don't think we need that. I don't need to worry about that point. I think we can actually. Let me check something here. Let's subdivide this out. And G X to line it up there and see where it lines up. And it goes perfectly downward onto that. Okay, so that's good. Makes things a little easier, I think. So from here, basically have a pretty flat face. And goes into whatever is going on over here. So it looks like there's an extension and then a much larger extension, and then it goes back inward. So that extension starts around here on one of these. Where was that exactly? Because it was just above that part there. I guess it's around there, and then it goes outward. So let's extend that outward. E on that, and then right clicked, and then GZ, and then GY to drag it out. Actually, instead of E, let's Shift D to duplicate those, and then do that. Ah, they're auto merging. That was why that was happening. Let's turn auto merge off. GZ, GY, and then we can connect these to make that little rampy bit. We won't need those faces. Now we got some new ones here. And it looks like it goes straight down from that. And then on that lower bit, it protrudes back outward. So something like E, G, Z, and then from here, E, and then G, Y, and then G, Z to pull it down. Goes a little further. A little further. Then E again, and let's pull it down here-ish. And then we can go back in the GY. And where does that terminate? Seems like it's basically on the same level of this ramp here. So let's pull that down. And then I guess we go in G, G, Y. back down there, and I guess we can pull that over because that's just kind of hanging. Let's auto merge and then GX, snap that over there, and we can put a whole face onto this, that, that. That one's a little off. Are you off? You're not off. Why are you here? Why is this like this? So that should be a straight line, which means these might not be straight. And it probably isn't because this doesn't go the same length as that. Alright, so that, let's go ahead and put that out there like this. And then this can be snapped over here. Let's see if that didn't fix it. Yeah, there we go. But what we should do is subdivide this line, get this vertice auto merge over here. That way that's a little cleaned up. And let's put another face over here, just like that one. Oh yeah, let's put this on the same plane as this with GY. And then let's collect all these edges and fill that face in there. Face. Yeah, that's fine. And let's fill that face. What's this? Is that the continuous line? Hmm. Do we need this? Guess not. So I don't think this edge serves any purpose anymore. We'll get rid of that. Okay, so now we got that going. And then we might be able to seal this face off, I think. Let's put an edge between these two like so. Then we can get all those and go ahead and seal that up. Seems to be a gap in here. Oh, there's just no face. There's a face. Alright. Okay, so that's looking okay. Now let's try focusing on these holes. So we're gonna need this edge. These aren't intercepting? No, because that's on the inside. Okay. It's fine. Totally fine. And let's subdivide this edge twice. Twice right here. And then we'll bring this one down. And this one seems to be about there. I don't think we need this. Delete that, it opens up this face, but then we could just make a bigger one. And these guys are just on that. Okay, let's make sure these guys are included. Yeah. Okay. And from here, we could knife project this on, but I think I'm just gonna put it on there myself. Just gonna extrude back here. Let's get this one over here. And we'll add subdivide, add a few more vertices to play with, and we'll put that one up here, put that one over here, and we'll subdivide this one more time. And we will snap you back here, and then downward. And snap that up there. And then we can round these edges because this one looks kind of rounded. So I'm going to bevel like so. These will all use a little bevel as well. A little bevel. Not too much. And then we'll take this and get rid of that face, and then we'll make a new one that includes this. So let's get rid of that edge, and then hit F. Now we got that going. And now we can extrude GY, extrude inward like so. And let's go ahead and snap it to this so they're both the same depth. And now we have that. Whoop. So that's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. And let's go ahead and seal this up if we can. Let's see how, if anything needs to go in there. It looks pretty plain, so I guess we'll just leave it flat as we can. Hmm. So let's extend this over using GX, and then I'll hit these edges, and F, put a face on it. And is this lined up? Let's see. That is not straight, okay. So that, I guess, would connect into that inner bit there. So I guess this would come outward. And then we could put a face in here. And I think that's that part. Oh, not too bad. Alright, so I'm going to take a break. We'll get back with it in a little bit.